Welcome back, I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some Reddit stories. This story was created by a user named Ataraxic Metanoia. It was posted in the AITAH subreddit and is titled, "Would I be the jerk if I break off my engagement because of his new views about women? I am 28F. My 34M fiance and I used to have a great relationship, but for the last year, his political views have become a problem. I mostly bit my tongue about it, but it came to a head when he accused a woman at his job of lying about her sexual assault. I pointed out that when a woman accuses a man of rape, he questions it and says she is lying. He justified that by saying it's stupid to believe an accusation like that with no proof. I pointed out that he has no proof that she's lying either, but he's accusing her anyway. He often sends me articles of women, usually teachers, abusing boys. I brought up that he never says the boys are lying or asks for proof. He got very upset and kept repeating that I was trivializing male sexual abuse. I don't feel like I was. I feel that I was just pointing out the hypocrisy. He denied being biased against female accusers. I reminded him that when the allegations against Diddy first happened, he said, "Feminists were just trying to ruin a successful man's life." Unsurprisingly, he never brought up the man who accused Diddy of sexual assault. He defended Diddy up until the video of him physically assaulting Cassie was leaked. Even then, he said, "We didn't know the whole story." The final straw was when he was telling me how women are actually worse than men because we are sneaky and conniving and at least men will f you over to your face. He kept saying that women are far worse people than men, and I just lost it. I said that there was nowhere on earth, not now or ever in recorded history, where the female violent crime rate has been higher than the males. I told him that men kill each other even more than they kill us, so they are a bigger danger to themselves than some girl being sneaky. I said that blaming women for unfair legislation makes no sense when men make up the majority of the US government. He was absolutely furious about all this. He didn't argue with me per se. He just told me that I was brainwashed by the feminist agenda and that feminism lied to me and convinced me I was special. I still don't know where that comment came from. It was not relevant to anything. I, admittedly, was very pissed off and said, "Well, maybe patriarchy lied to you about this relationship being special." I threw my ring at the table, left the house, and haven't spoken to him since. Today, he sent me a long text stating how I belittled him with that comment and that I would be a good wife if I could just stop needing to be right all the time. I haven't responded, and I'm conflicted about if I will at all. I feel bad about throwing the ring. I really feel bad that I hurt his feelings by saying our relationship isn't special. But still, to be honest, I'm seriously questioning if I really want to marry him. He has always been argumentative, not just with me, with everyone. Normally, I just ignore it, but he was so egregious with his hypocritical BS. I shouldn't have taken the bait, and I don't feel like men are generally bad. I was speaking out of anger. I don't consider myself to be a super political person. I'm not even sure if I count as a feminist. He just has a new complaint about women every freaking day at this point. It's so frustrating. I don't know when he became this way, but it sucks. There are still things I love about him, but the things he has been saying may be more than I can forgive. Despite all that, I'm still responsible for my intense outburst because I ignored his constant woman bashing in an effort to keep the peace. I exploded when I could have just spoken up from the start. Maybe if I'd nipped it in the bud right at the start, it could have been better. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Am I the jerk? Edit. I did a whole update post, but the TLDR is, I told him I wasn't in love with him anymore and called off the engagement. I'm going to a friend's place for a few days, and he's going to move out of the condo by the 9th. The very next day, OP provided an update. Hi again. I'm surprised and overwhelmed by the response my post got. Thanks to everyone who read through all that, and thanks to anyone who reads through all this too. After I left, I went to a hotel. He kept contacting me to ask when I was coming home. I told him I needed time to think and turned off my phone. When I turned it back on, I saw his photo on my lock screen and decided to call him for reasons that will make sense later. He said he wanted to talk face to face and I agreed, so I went home. He apologized for implying that I'm not special. I apologized for implying our relationship isn't special. We've been together for 12 years, so saying that was hurtful and untrue. Before anyone compares the harshness of our statements, his wrongs don't justify my own and vice versa. Disclaimer. This post isn't about the validity or ethics of gender roles. This is strictly an account of what happened with no wider social commentary from me. We discussed what we wanted for the future. He wants a traditional marriage and specified the following. I would quit my job and we'd start trying for a baby right after the wedding. I'd be a stay-at-home mom until the kids are old enough for primary school, and we'd raise them as Christians. He wants to protect and provide for our family, and I would be submissive. He assured me that I could still disagree with him and have a say, but he wants to ultimately have the final say in most things. He asked if I understood what he wanted, and I said yes. When he asked me if I still wanted to get married, I told him that I didn't. He has the right to change his mind, but it's not the arrangement we agreed to when he proposed. This post is long enough, so I won't detail how he got into this gender essentialism stuff or why I don't want the type of relationship he's asking for. Suffice to say, we are no longer compatible. He wants to do a trial run of his preferred setup so I can see that it's for the best. I told him that we had a very successful trial run of not doing that for 10 years until he decided to switch things up a few years ago. He was unfazed by this. So, about the lock screen. He has a small snaggletooth toward the back that he's always been shy about, so he never fully smiles in public. That photo is one of very few pictures where he is showing his real smile, and it's beautiful. Seeing that photo used to make me so happy. When I saw it this morning, I just felt sad. I know it sounds dramatic, but it feels like he died and was replaced by some kind of red-pilled pod person. When he asked me if I still loved him at all, I told him that I will always love him, but I'm not in love with him anymore. I get that many people had strong feelings about the things he said, and he definitely crossed the line several times, but this is still so hard for me to do. He's the only man I've ever been with and my best friend. I'm relieved that it's over, but still sad about how it ended. I accept that he's a different person now, but it's hard not to think of what could have been. 1 week later, we got OP's final update. To make a long story short, I was with a guy who became an extreme MRA. I posted about him and mentioned that I don't think I'm a feminist. I got a bunch of comments from people saying I am actually a feminist, but I don't know if they are correct. I also kept getting accused by men of being brainwashed by feminists. I told them that I wasn't raised around feminism, and I don't know any feminists at all. After my ex got into MRA stuff, I spent a lot of time learning, researching, and talking with them. I know way more about men's rights than women's rights. I don't disagree with everything the MRA said, but some stuff was kind of stupid. If I ever disagreed with them, they just said I was brainwashed by feminism. I'm thinking maybe I have been accidentally feminist this whole time. I want to learn more about feminism to know if I really do agree with it, but it's so difficult to know where to start. It feels like everyone in my age group is further ahead on this than what I can catch up to. What are some good ways to get started and learn more about women's rights? User Hungry Industry 9817 said, so he wanted to have a trial run before they were married, have her quit her job and have him have complete control over her financially and make it hard for her to leave him. I am so happy she did not go for that. Under this comment, another user said, my brother tried that with his last girlfriend. He hadn't actually proposed at that point, but he was saving up for a ring and she was regularly sending him rings she liked. She was basically his fiancé-to-be. When they met, he was conservative and she was as well, but not alt-right conservative. But then he got into a new church that basically made him nosedive from regular conservative to religious freak conservative. He would often bring her with him to Sunday school, where they would spend most of their time being berated by their fellow church members for having sex before marriage and how they needed to repent. Instead of spending time together, my brother wanted to go to Bible study groups, and when his ex said no, he whined that she only wanted him for sex. Eventually, my brother asked her to drop her job, which she loved, and abandon her schooling, which she also loved, in order to be his stay-at-home girlfriend. His thought process was, if we're going to get married soon anyway, it makes sense to just go ahead and start now. She already worked at a daycare. Why not just start raising her own kids? My mom is a very outspoken feminist, and she adored my brother's ex. She sat them both down and explained why, exactly, stay-at-home GF is not good. She outlined the financial and social strains it would put on them both. My brother wouldn't be able to pursue his dream job because he would need health insurance for any kids they may have. His ex would be completely financially and medically alone, as she wouldn't have any health insurance from her own family or her own job. Their bills would double while their financial stream would be cut in half. She never accused my brother of abuse. She simply pointed out that if they went forward with this and my brother was in an accident or they had an emergency financial problem, they would be worse than f***ed. My brother came away from that conversation thinking that my mom was just brainwashed by feminism and didn't understand how real relationships should be. My ex-almost sister-in-law came away from that conversation and dumped him. User MNLCNTN said, the funny thing about feminism is that a lot of it is common sense stuff. MRA, red-pilled nonsense is mostly crazy ramblings about how the world is changing too fast for fragile, toxic masculinity. Most of their nonsense is about keeping women subservient, third world country shit. Feminism is about equity, respecting people's choices, and giving people opportunities regardless of their gender. And before any of you red pill Redditors start replying, I'm a guy, none of your nonsense will ever make sense. User, at least designer 7976, said, I hate how so many people are like, you don't compromise enough, while thinking, either you do it my way or I do it your way, and I'm not interested in going your way, like ever. That feels 100% like this in, you'll have your say, but in the end I have the final word. He's not interested in her opinion at all, and just allows her to exist. This next story was made in the Entitled Parents subreddit by a user named Toasted France. The post is simply titled, My Entitled Sister. I know an entitled parent, and sad to say, she's my sister-in-law. She grew up doing whatever she wanted without consequence, so she's irresponsible. Her irresponsibility led to her having a kid and health problems. I have many stories to share, but I'll start with this one. One day, my wife planned for us all to go to the beach for a day for her mom's birthday. It would be me, her, the sister, and their mom. The sister got into an argument with her BF, so we invited her so she could have a break from him and her kid. But when we got to her house to get her, she was still arguing. She was telling us to bring her BF and kid instead, and we said no. Eventually, she came with us and brought her 4-year-old daughter. Now about the daughter, she was also raised to do whatever she wanted and get whatever she wanted. An entitled sister, who I'll call ES from here on, can't let go of her kid either, so even at 4 years old, the daughter will cry if her mom goes anywhere without her. That night, we had her sleep over so we could get up and go in the morning. The daughter wanted to sleep on the floor, but ES kept trying to convince her daughter to sleep in our bed so that she could sleep in our bed. So, the next morning, we all got ready to go to the beach. We left later than planned because ES took a long time getting ready. We also stopped to only get my mother-in-law a chair for the beach, but ES decided to go full-on shopping for an hour. Things still went downhill fast once we got to the beach. The moment we parked, my wife was stressed. We saw we had to pay to park there, so my wife went out to read the sign and figure out how to pay. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law had her door open to get out or to smoke. I don't remember. Then some foreign family attempted to pull into the spot next to us. One could tell the driver barely knew English, and you know sometimes people like that sound mean when they talk, probably just because they're just using the words they know. The man said to my mom, "Close your door, I'm trying to park here." My mom was just apologizing, and the man repeated himself about 2 more times in this moment. Suddenly, ES came from the other side and started cussing the man out. She was saying things out loud that just embarrassed the rest of us. She said stuff like, "Stop acting white 'cause you're not white," and "You can talk crap in your language, so can I." My wife's family is Asian. She saw the daughter of the foreign man show up and yelled more, "You're sending your kid to fight for you?" My wife came back to the car and the driver kept telling her, "I'm sorry, I don't understand." ES went on for about 10 minutes yelling and cussing. She even went to that side of the car to yell more. When she did this, her daughter took off into the street and my wife and I had to stop her before she got hit by a car. ES turned around and yelled at us, "Why aren't you guys watching her?" As if we were supposed to know she was going to leave her kid like that. Once she stopped yelling and cussing, the foreign family was gone and people were watching. I mentioned that maybe we should park somewhere else, and ES said, "What's wrong with this spot?" And we were just like, "Well, you did just make a scene here." Then she replied with, "I'm just trying to protect my mom, unlike some people," looking at us, as if she was ever there to protect her mom before. While we were on the beach, ES got to enjoy herself, while my wife had to sit with the daughter. She did once complain about this, and ES said, "Why not let mom watch her?" fully knowing that her mom had a bad leg and can't chase around a 4-year-old. Later that day, we walked around the boardwalk. My wife got some ice cream and just wanted to enjoy it. But the daughter saw the ice cream and wanted it, and I know for sure she already had some snacks all day. ES then told my wife, "Can you hide your ice cream from daughter?" She even tried telling her kid the ice cream was fake. My wife wasn't having it and continued to eat it. ES's BF said it was going to rain later that day, but she said she didn't care and still wanted to go. On the way home, it did start to rain, and ES was like, "I told you it was going to rain. We shouldn't have gone today." She never did tell us. On the way home, we stopped, and ES and my wife went into the store to use the bathroom and get us some food. To keep her daughter from crying from her disappearance, she gave her a full tub of cotton candy. By the time ES came back, all the cotton candy was gone. After we dropped them off, the backseat of my car was covered in trash and food. This happens every time we take them anywhere. This was a more mild story of my sister-in-law's entitlement, but there's more to come. If it were my choice, I would never talk to them again. The only reason I don't speak my mind around her is because my wife tells me not to, so she can see her niece. A few days later, OP provided an update. I know an entitled parent, and sad to say, she's my sister-in-law. She grew up doing whatever she wanted without consequence, so she's irresponsible. Her irresponsibility led to her having a kid and health problems. These are a few stories I have about her general lack of respect. My sister-in-law has no respect at all for anyone, not even herself. She never calls us unless she wants something. Sometimes she'll call my wife asking to come over, but sometimes my wife doesn't answer, knowing her sister. Instead of trying again to get confirmation, she'll come over anyway, uninvited, with her boyfriend and daughter. Last time they did this, she went through our kitchen and started eating our food, without asking. She gave her kid some of my wife's food. My wife said not to take that particular food, but ES said, just let her have it, she wants it. But it gets worse. She went to my wife after coming over and said, so you gave up on cleaning? My wife cleans the house all day, cleaning after her brother. Meanwhile, ES spent years living in a house leaving her trash and dishes wherever she last used them. Whenever ES leaves our house, it's yet another mess to clean up. She'll leave her trash around our house or leave something behind and never get it. It's the same with my car. Whenever ES comes over or is anywhere nearby, if she knows I'm home, she will always try to get a ride somewhere. When I first started driving, she treated me like a chauffeur, and to this day, she still does. The only reason I ever drive her anywhere now is if she pays me. While she and her kid are in my car, even if we tell them not to, they will eat and make a mess and not clean it up. And because she lets her daughter do whatever she wants, she won't even stop her from putting her finger in her mouth and using her spit finger like an ink pen on my window. And in the end, they never fail at leaving something behind. ES once asked me to drive her to the bus stop, which was only 2 small blocks away. She will also use her daughter to try to get a ride anywhere. Daughter misses you. You should give her a ride. Right now, I barely come home because of my job, but whenever I do and ES finds out, she is very quick to ask for a ride somewhere. ES and her BF have never lifted a finger in their life, and yet the BF landed a good job taking care of his autistic brother. Basically, he now gets paid good money to sit at home doing the same thing he's always done. After they got this job, they started acting different. They became even more entitled and more full of themselves. As of now, her BF has his license, and they always talk about how much money they have and how good their credit is, but they still try to get a ride from me. Funny story, in my previous story, I mentioned that ES and her BF were arguing. At that time, ES was ready to finally leave him because she was officially tired of his crap. But once he got that job, she said, "We're gonna work things out." Anyway, last time they got in my car, they were trying to tell us about some lump sum of money we could get. My wife told them we don't really need it now. We're doing pretty good with money right now. Entitled BF replied, "You don't look like you're doing good right now." I wanted to kick him out of my car for that, but I held on. Moving back a few years, my grandmother died about a year into my relationship with my wife. I tried to call and text her, trying to get comfort, but at that time my wife used to silence her phone because she wouldn't want to be bothered by anyone. Nothing personal. Because of the state of shock I was in, I texted her, "I bet you silenced your phone." Of course I didn't mean it, especially not in any degrading way, as it may appear. When she did answer, I did apologize profusely, and she even understood why I said that after hearing the news. But her sister did not want to hear any reasoning. ES started yelling at my wife about me, saying, "If it were my choice, I wouldn't let you date him." My wife defended me. "His grandmother just died the same way ours did." ES said, "I don't care. He shouldn't have said that." ES made things worse for my wife that day. ES is very manipulative, and usually everyone takes her side no matter what, so she turned everyone in the house against my wife. That's the worst part about ES. She thinks she deserves everything, and people actually try to give her that. If you find her online, she'll act like this cute, bubbly Asian girl, but only those close to her know the real her. To add to all this, she uses her manipulative skills to guilt trip us into doing what she wants. So, lately people are physically going after the Asian community, so my wife has been too scared to go out by herself. ES is always trying to get her to come over to her new place. My wife says she doesn't want to, because being a small Asian, it's too dangerous to go out to the city by herself. You would think, as a sister, one would understand that my wife is not trying to get hurt. But no. ES says, they're only attacking old people. My wife knows this isn't true. She said it again that she didn't feel safe. But ES said, "But daughter misses you. Why can't you take the bus?" That still isn't a good option. ES kept trying to guilt trip my wife to come over and didn't at all care for my wife's safety. The only reason I don't speak my mind around her is because my wife tells me not to, so she can see her niece. User NT Engineer said, there is an easy way to fix this, but it takes you and your wife to have an iron will. You just stop letting her push you around. If she has a key to your house, change the locks. Then if she comes over uninvited, you don't let her in. Literally ignore her and pretend she's not even there. You stop giving her rides. It's your car, so just stop. If she has all this money and her BF has a license, let him drive them around. Just say no. For a while, I'd even take it to the extreme. Kind of like ripping a band-aid off. Stop taking her calls. Don't talk to her on social media. Don't let her in your house. You can even let her know why you are doing this so she doesn't just think you are being mean for no reason. Then, after a period of time, you can slowly loosen the barriers you set up. Let her over only if invited. And if she says something mean again to your wife, tell her it's time to leave. If she goes into your kitchen, tell her it's time to leave. You have to stand up for yourself. Yes, your sister is entitled, but you are an enabler.